I'm Mr. Lecomte here. We're going to look at this slide and we're going to diagram how the organelles in plant cells work together, the organelles in animal cells work together, and how plant and animal cells work together. So here we go. So I'm going to start off by grabbing some arrows here because we are going to draw lots of arrows. So first off, we're going to start with this chloroplast here in the animal or the plant cell. And the chloroplast's main job in this plant cell is to make sugars. For it to do that, it's going to need three ingredients. One, it's going to need this sunlight here. Okay, it's going to take in some sunlight. It's going to use that sun energy to combine this water and CO2 to make sugar. All right, so what it uses that sun energy for is it uses that energy to take apart the atoms in water, take apart the atoms in carbon dioxide, and put them back together to make this simple sugar, the simple carbohydrate. Okay, but in order for the plant cell to use that sugar, it needs to go to the mitochondria next. And we know the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell or the power plant of the cell. So what that mitochondria does, it takes the sugar and turns it into energy that the cell is able to use. Okay. And from that energy then is used to fuel all the other organelles in the cell. Okay, including our cell membrane and the chloroplast itself. Okay, so we're going to go back to this chloroplast. And one of the byproducts or the waste products of this photosynthesis and the chloroplast here is that it creates something very cool that we need as animals, and that's oxygen. Okay, so the plant cell doesn't need this extra oxygen for photosynthesis, so it sends it back outside of the cell into the atmosphere. Okay, which is good for us because as animals, one of the major inputs or one of the necessary inputs for our mitochondria is oxygen. Okay, so our mitochondria takes that oxygen. Oh, and we need to add one thing to this, and that is sugar. So I'm just going to add a little box and write sugar on there. Okay, so our mitochondria takes this oxygen and takes this sugar. And from that, this is how our cells get the energy we need. Okay, and that energy is used to fuel every organelle in our cells. Okay, but one of the byproducts of the cellular respiration or from this mitochondria doing its thing is CO2. Okay, our cells don't need this CO2. Our blood comes by and picks it up and takes it to our lungs where we breathe it out. But a cool thing, though, is that when it's in the atmosphere, well, it goes back to plant cells. It becomes an input to plant cells. And we have this cycle here where we breathe out CO2. Plants breathe in CO2. They then breathe out oxygen. We then breathe in oxygen and then breathe out CO2. Plant cells breathe in CO2. They breathe out O2. We breathe in O2. And the pattern continues. Okay, so use this information to help you with your explanation on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, little assignment where you're diagramming how organelles within the cell are working together. Okay, hope this helps. And stop. How do you stop? Nope. Maybe push that. Nope. Push that.